Welcome back to the Metabolic Revolution podcast. I'm Dr. Steve, and today we're tackling one of the most misunderstood substances in health, coffee. Now, before you roll your eyes thinking this is another quit coffee lecture or a coffee is life celebration, stop. This is different. What I'm about to share will completely change how you think about that morning cup. Quick reminder, this podcast is educational content only, not medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making changes to your diet or lifestyle. Now, let's dive into the science. This is episode 12, and if you've been following along, you know we challenge everything. We've exposed how PUFAS undermine your cells, revealed energy as the master key to health, shown you the gut metabolism connection, vindicated sugar and salt, exposed the cholesterol truth, revealed the protein obsession that's aging you, showed why your workout might be counterproductive, exposed the cold therapy trap, the fasting fallacy, and just last week, the omega-3 deception. Today, we're solving the coffee paradox. Because here's the truth. Coffee can either be one of the most metabolically supportive substances you consume, or it can drive your stress hormones through the roof. Same coffee, same person, completely different outcomes. And I'm going to show you exactly what determines which one you get. Let me start with a confession. For years, I was that doctor who drank black coffee on an empty stomach at 5 a.m., thinking I was being healthy. No calories, right? Just pure, clean energy. I'd power through morning rounds on nothing but caffeine and willpower. By noon, my hands were shaking. By 3 p.m., I was exhausted. By evening, I needed wine to calm down. I thought this was normal. I thought this was what driven professionals did. Then I had a patient who changed everything. Let's call her Monica, 42 years old, executive at a tech company. She came to me with textbook burnout, exhausted but wired, gaining weight despite barely eating, hair falling out, anxiety through the roof. Her morning routine? Black coffee at 6 a.m., nothing else until lunch. Her cortisol levels were astronomical. Her morning temperature was 96.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Her thyroid was barely functioning. And here's the kicker. She was drinking only 2 cups of coffee a day. The coffee wasn't the problem. How she was drinking it was destroying her metabolism. Here's what nobody understands about coffee and metabolism. When you wake up from sleep, which is essentially a fast, your liver glycogen stores are depleted. Glycogen is your liver's stored glucose, its energy reserve. After 8 to 10 hours without food, those reserves are low. Now, coffee increases your metabolic rate. It makes your cells work faster, burn more energy. This is actually a good thing if you have the fuel to support it. But when you drink coffee in a glycogen-depleted state with low blood sugar, your body has only one option: stress hormones. Cortisol and adrenaline surge to liberate glucose from your own tissues. Your body literally starts breaking itself down for fuel. This isn't energizing. It's a metabolic emergency. And we've normalized it as a morning routine. Ray Peat explained this brilliantly decades ago. He said, the increased metabolic rate caffeine produces increases the cellular consumption of glucose. So experiments that study the effects of coffee taken on an empty stomach are measuring the effects of increased temperature and metabolic rate, combined with increased adrenaline resulting from the decrease of glucose. In other words, that jittery, anxious feeling from morning coffee, that's not the coffee. That's your body's stress response to running on empty while being pushed to work harder. But here's where it gets interesting. That same coffee, consumed with adequate fuel, becomes profoundly protective. Studies show coffee drinkers have lower rates of cancer, Parkinson's disease, liver dysfunction, and death from all causes. Coffee protects the liver from alcohol and toxins. It inhibits platelet aggregation. It can even stop production of free radicals by inhibiting xanthine oxidase. The difference? Context. Specifically, nutritional context. Let me tell you what happened with Monica. We changed exactly one thing initially. She started having her coffee with breakfast. Eggs, fruit, and a little honey in her coffee. Same amount of coffee. Completely different effect. Within a week, her afternoon crashes stopped. Within 2 weeks, her anxiety decreased dramatically. Within a month, her morning temperature was up to 97.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Within 3 months, she'd lost 8 pounds without trying. Her hair stopped falling out, and she said something that stuck with me. I feel like I finally understand what coffee is supposed to do. Coffee is supposed to enhance your metabolism, not replace it. It's supposed to work with your body's energy systems, not against them. Here's the biochemistry that makes this work. Coffee contains compounds that actually lower cortisol synthesis when consumed in the right context. It's a significant source of magnesium. Most people don't know this. A cup of coffee can provide 10 to 20% of your daily magnesium needs. Dark roasts provide 4 times more vitamin B3 than light roasts because the roasting process frees vitamin B3 from the coffee beans. Coffee also helps reduce iron overload by inhibiting non-heme iron absorption. This is huge because iron overload is a massive driver of oxidative stress. I actually recommend my clients drink coffee with their liver consumption for this exact reason. And that myth about coffee being dehydrating? Complete nonsense for regular drinkers. Studies show that in people who regularly consume coffee, it has zero diuretic effect. It becomes a source of hydration and bioavailable minerals. But here's what really excites me about coffee from a bioenergetic perspective. It synergizes with progesterone. It increases progesterone concentration in blood and tissues. For women especially, this can be game-changing for hormonal balance. Coffee also has anti-estrogenic effects, helping to oppose estrogen dominance. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, sleep. But Dr. Presciutti, won't coffee ruin my sleep? Not if you use it correctly. The half-life of caffeine is about 5 to 6 hours. If you have your last cup by noon or 1 p.m., it's largely cleared by bedtime. More importantly, when coffee is consumed with adequate nutrition and doesn't spike stress hormones, it actually improves sleep quality by supporting daytime metabolism and reducing the need for nighttime stress hormone production. I had another client, David, who illustrates this perfectly. Chronic insomniac for years. We discovered he was drinking coffee all wrong, multiple cups throughout the day, always on an empty stomach, using it to suppress hunger. His body was in constant stress mode. We restructured his coffee consumption, 2 to 3 cups, always with food, none after 1 p.m., added a bedtime snack of milk and honey to support nighttime metabolism. Within 2 weeks, he was sleeping through the night for the first time in 5 years. The coffee wasn't keeping him awake. The stress response from misusing coffee was. So how do you make coffee work for your metabolism instead of against it? Here's my protocol. First, never drink coffee on an empty stomach. Ever. I don't care if you're intermittent fasting, if you're not hungry, if you're trying to boost fat burning, you're not. What you are doing is that you're creating a stress response that, in the long run, is destroying your metabolism. Second, always consume coffee with or after a meal that includes protein, carbohydrates, and some saturated fat. My favorite combination? Coffee with whole milk and a teaspoon of honey, alongside eggs and fruit. The protein and carbs provide the fuel your increased metabolism needs. The saturated fat helps moderate the absorption. Third, timing matters. Have your coffee when your body is naturally primed for it. After breakfast when cortisol is naturally declining, not first thing when it's peaking. If you need a second cup, have it with or after lunch. Fourth, quality matters immensely. Over 97% of the world's coffee is commercially grown with massive pesticide use. The U.S. has no maximum residue limits for pesticides on coffee beans. Some estimates suggest every acre of coffee gets 250 pounds of agricultural chemicals. Choose organic at minimum, biodynamic if possible. Fifth, preparation method matters. Avoid plastic in your coffee making process. Hot liquids can leach compounds from plastic. Use stainless steel, glass, or ceramic. French press, pour over, or a quality espresso machine are ideal. Now some of you might be thinking, but I'm sensitive to caffeine. Here's the thing. Most caffeine sensitivity is actually glycogen depletion sensitivity. When you have adequate liver glycogen and stable blood sugar, coffee feels completely different. Start with small amounts with food, and gradually increase as your metabolism improves. Others might worry about addiction. Let's be clear. Physical dependence on coffee is mild compared to what we accept with medications. The withdrawal, a headache for a day or two, compare that to SSRIs, statins, or blood pressure medications that can cause serious problems if stopped suddenly. We've demonized coffee while normalizing far more problematic dependencies. And for those coming from a low-carb or keto background, you need to be especially careful. Your glycogen stores are chronically depleted. Coffee in this state is metabolically disastrous. Add carbohydrates back first, then slowly reintroduce coffee with meals. Your tolerance will improve as your metabolism heals. Here's something fascinating from the research. In animal studies that supposedly showed caffeine was harmful to pregnancy, the animals were given massive doses with no food. When researchers simply added sugar to prevent the blood glucose drop, the negative effects completely disappeared. It wasn't the caffeine causing problems, it was the metabolic stress from hypoglycemia. This principle applies to everything we've been told about coffee's dangers. The jitters, low blood sugar, the anxiety, stress hormones from glycogen depletion, the crash, your body running out of fuel, the insomnia, elevated cortisol from daytime metabolic stress. When you consume coffee properly, with food, at the right times, in reasonable amounts, it becomes a powerful metabolic tool. It improves insulin sensitivity. It protects against neurodegenerative diseases. It enhances liver function. It can even improve athletic performance by 11 to 12% on average. I now drink 2 to 3 cups of coffee daily, always with food, always with some honey or maple syrup, usually with whole milk or cream. My temperature runs 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. My energy is stable all day. I sleep deeply. And I genuinely enjoy coffee now instead of needing it desperately. The transformation I see in clients who fix their coffee consumption is remarkable. Energy stabilizes. Anxiety disappears. Afternoon crashes vanish. Sleep improves. Weight normalizes. They discover what coffee is actually supposed to feel like. A gentle lift, not a desperate jolt. Look, I'm not saying everyone needs to drink coffee. If you're thriving without it, fantastic. But if you're drinking coffee and feeling awful, or if you've quit coffee but miss it, you need to understand that the problem was never the coffee itself. It was the metabolically stressed context in which you were consuming it. Our experienced team has helped hundreds of people optimize their coffee consumption through our programs. If you're ready to go deeper and understand your unique metabolic needs, we have resources for you. Our Energy Essentials mini course breaks down the fundamental principles of metabolic health, including an exclusive guide on strategic coffee use and meal timing. It's perfect if you want to understand the why behind these protocols. For those ready for complete transformation, our flagship Bioenergetic Reset program includes comprehensive guidance on optimizing not just coffee, but every aspect of your daily food routine for maximum metabolic support. You'll learn exactly how to structure your meals for sustained energy. And if you want personalized guidance, our one-on-one coaching helps you navigate your unique situation with targeted protocols based on your specific needs and health history. Sometimes that individual attention makes all the difference. Before we wrap up, let me give you a glimpse of what's coming. Next week, we're diving into something that terrifies millions of people: hair loss and what's really causing it. Why your genetics aren't your destiny and DHT isn't the villain everyone thinks it is. Why that expensive hair loss treatment is actually making things worse by suppressing the very hormones that protect your follicles. And why the real solution has nothing to do with blocking anything and everything to do with raising your metabolic rate. I'll show you how people are regrowing hair they lost years ago just by fixing their thyroid function and lowering stress hormones. Trust me, you're going to want to hear this one. For now, remember, coffee isn't good or bad. It's a tool. When used correctly and with proper nutritional support, it can be an amazing way to enhance your metabolism, protect your liver, boost your cognitive function, and yes, even improve your sleep. Used incorrectly, however, like on an empty stomach, as a meal replacement, or to push through exhaustion, well, it becomes more of a metabolic stressor. The choice is yours. You can continue the cultural norm of stressed, depleted coffee consumption, or you can use coffee as it was meant to be used, as a complement to good nutrition, not a replacement for it. Your metabolism is waiting, your cells are ready, they just need you to stop forcing them into stress mode and start supporting them with proper fuel. This is Dr. Steve reminding you, you came to the right place. Our team has helped hundreds of clients restore their metabolic health by going against conventional wisdom, by choosing nourishment over restriction, by working with their biology, not against it. Everything discussed today is educational information only. Work with a healthcare provider who understands metabolic health to create your individualized approach. Your energy is waiting. Your vitality is waiting. Your life is waiting. All on the other side of understanding how to make coffee work for you, not against you. Let's talk.